Dr. He-jin rubbed his tired eyes and looked at the screens again. He had been watching space signals for 12 hours straight at Titan Research Station. The job was usually boring, but today something was different. The computer was beeping in a pattern he had never heard before. "What is this?" he whispered to himself. The signal was coming from deep space, far beyond anything humans had ever seen. It was not random noise like most space signals. This one had patterns like math equations. Someone or something was trying to talk to them. He-jin's hands shook as he recorded the signal. He ran it through the computer programs that looked for intelligence in space signals. The results made his heart race. This was definitely from intelligent life, but the math was far more advanced than anything humans had created. He called his supervisor right away. "Sir, you need to see this immediately." Within an hour, the small research station was buzzing with activity. Scientists, military officers, and government officials were arriving by shuttle. Dr. So Young, Earth's top language expert, worked with her team to understand the message. The translation took 6 hours. When they finished, the room went completely silent. "Primitive species of Sol 3, you have 7 rotations to vacate this system. The Corvani hegemony claims these resources. Resistance will result in complete extermination. This is your only warning." Captain Dongwu of the United Earthship Perseverance was the first to speak. "Sol 3 means Earth. They're talking about our solar system." 7 rotations, said Dr. So Young. "Based on their math, I think they mean 7 days." The message continued with coordinates and technical data that made Earth's best scientists feel like children. The aliens, who called themselves the Corvani, were showing off their technology. They wanted humans to know exactly how outmatched they were. Captain Dongwu immediately sent emergency messages to Earth. Within hours, every government leader, military commander, and scientist on Earth was in emergency meetings. The news was kept secret from the public to prevent panic. Ambassador Yuman tried to send a reply to the Corvani. She crafted careful messages asking for peaceful talks and offering to share resources. The alien response came back within hours. "Inferior mammals do not negotiate with the Corvani. You are barely intelligent enough to understand your own extinction. Leave now or be removed." The messages got worse from there. The Corvani seemed to enjoy insulting humans. They called Earth people weak flesh and crawling insects. They sent images of other planets they had conquered, showing destroyed cities and dead populations. "They've done this before," said General Kyung-ho during a video call with world leaders. "Many times. This is not their first war." Dr. Yoon-ji, Earth's top military scientist, studied the alien technology shown in their messages. "Their ships are huge, sir. Each one is bigger than our largest space station. And they have biological technology we can't understand. Their ships seem to be alive." The Corvani sent more messages over the next 2 days. They described their empire, which controlled 17 star systems. They had been conquering other species for over 1,000 years. To them, humans were just another weak race to be eliminated. "We are the perfect warriors," one message said. "We have natural armor, strength 10 times greater than your soft bodies, and weapons that grow from our flesh. Your species builds tools because you are weak. We are the tools of war." Earth's leaders watched in horror as the Corvani showed videos of their past victories. Alien cities burned. Different species ran in terror before being hunted down. The Corvani seemed to enjoy the fear they created. But some humans were not just afraid. They were angry. Colonel Minho, head of Earth's secret military projects, spoke during one emergency meeting. "They think we're weak because we look soft. They think we build tools because we can't fight. They're about to learn something very important about humans." "What's that?" asked President Lee Na. "We don't build tools because we're weak. We build tools because we're smart. And when we get angry, we build very dangerous tools." Dr. He-jin, still at Titan Station, continued monitoring alien signals. The Corvani fleet was approaching. Their ships appeared on long-range sensors as massive dots moving toward the solar system. Each ship was several kilometers long and seemed to pulse like a living heart. "How many ships?" Captain Dongwu asked. "At least 50 large vessels, sir, plus hundreds of smaller ones." The captain looked at Earth's fleet reports. Humans had about 30 military ships, most of them much smaller than the alien vessels. On paper, it looked hopeless, but Earth had a secret. For the past 50 years, humans had been preparing for this exact situation. The Damocles Protocol was a plan nobody wanted to use, but everyone knew might be necessary someday. President Lee Na made the hardest decision of her life. She authorized Damocles Protocol. Across the solar system, things that looked like ordinary mining stations and civilian ships received coded messages. Hidden weapon systems powered up. Secret military bases that officially didn't exist began preparing for war. Dr. Tejo, a communications expert, began sending fake messages between human settlements. These messages talked about panic, fear, and how unprepared Earth was for war. The Corvani intercepted every message exactly as planned. "Let them think we're scared," Tejo told his team. "Let them think we're weak and stupid. It will make them careless." Meanwhile, deep in hidden bunkers on Earth, Dr. Yunji worked with teams of scientists on projects that had been classified for decades. Weapons that used alien biology against itself. Computer viruses designed to attack non-human technology. Battle plans that threw away every rule of honorable warfare. "The Corvani fight like warriors," she explained to her team. "They have rules and honor codes. They expect their enemies to fight the same way." "What's our plan?" asked her assistant. Dr. Yunji smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "We're going to teach them that humans don't fight like warriors. We fight like humans, and that's much, much worse." As the alien fleet got closer, the Corvani sent their final message to Earth. "Your 7 rotations are complete. Prepare for cleansing. The Corvani will give you one gift before you die. You will understand the power of a superior species." On Titan Station, Dr. Heijin watched the alien fleet approach and sent one last message to Earth Command. "They're here, and they have no idea what they've just started." The first war between humans and aliens was about to begin, but only one side knew what kind of war it would really be. Supreme Warcast leader Thekmor stood on the command deck of his flagship, the Flesh Render. The massive bioship pulsed around him like a living creature, because that's exactly what it was. Corvani technology was grown, not built, and their ships were as alive as the warriors who controlled them. Through the organic viewing ports, Thekmor watched the human solar system grow larger. His 4 eyes studied the primitive settlements scattered across the planets. The humans had spread to several worlds, but their colonies looked weak and undefended. "Pathetic," he growled in his native language. His voice was deep and rumbling like rocks falling down a mountain. Subcommander Vectal approached, his armored footsteps echoing on the bone-like floor. "War leader, our scouts have finished studying the human settlements. Their defenses are laughable." Thekmor's mandibles clicked with amusement. "Show me." The ship's living walls displayed images of human colonies. Mars had several mining settlements with basic energy shields. The asteroid belt had mining stations that looked like metal insects. Earth's moon had a larger base, but even that seemed poorly defended compared to Corvani standards. "Their weapons are primitive projectile throwers and basic energy beams," Vectal reported. "Their ships are slow and clumsy. Most are clearly designed for cargo, not war." Thekmor had conquered 17 star systems in his long military career. He had faced species with natural armor like the Drakari, and species with advanced energy weapons like the Zalani. Humans seemed to have neither advantage. "What is their population?" he asked. "Approximately 10 billion on their main world, war leader. Perhaps 2 million scattered across other planets." This was almost disappointing. Thekmor preferred challenges. The best victories came from defeating strong enemies, not crushing insects. But the hegemony wanted this solar system for its resources, and humans were in the way. "Begin the cleansing with their outer settlements," he ordered. "Make it slow. Let them see what happens to those who resist the Corvani." On Earth, General Kyung-ho watched the approaching alien fleet from the hidden command bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains. The bunker was 5 kilometers underground and protected by the most advanced defenses humans had ever built. Officially, it didn't exist. "Sir, the outer colonies are evacuating," reported Colonel Bora. "All civilians are moving to the inner system as planned." "Good. What about our special packages?" "All deployed and waiting, sir. The mining stations and transport ships are in position." General Kyung-ho had spent his entire career preparing for this day. Earth's government had known for decades that humanity would eventually meet hostile aliens. They had spent 50 years getting ready. The evacuation of the outer colonies looked like panic to alien observers, but it was actually the most organized military operation in human history. Every fleeing transport ship was loaded with hidden weapons. Every abandoned mining station had been converted into a fortress. Dr. Yunji worked frantically in her laboratory deep beneath the lunar surface. Her team had been studying the alien technology for weeks, ever since the first messages arrived. The Corvani were proud of their superiority and had included detailed technical data in their communications. Their bioships have one major weakness, she explained to her assistant, Dr. J1. They're alive, and anything alive can get sick. You're talking about biological weapons? I'm talking about very specialized biological weapons. The Corvani biology is completely different from Earth life, but that means they have no immunity to our diseases. We just need to modify them correctly. Dr. J1 looked worried. Ma'am, creating new diseases is dangerous. What if they mutate and affect humans? Dr. Yunji's expression was cold. Then we'll deal with that problem after we solve the alien invasion problem, one crisis at a time. Meanwhile, scientist Tejo continued sending fake communications between human settlements. The messages were designed to be intercepted by alien listening devices. They spoke of panic, confusion, and humans arguing about whether to surrender or fight. The Earth Council is split. One fake message said, half want to surrender immediately. The other half think we should try to negotiate. Our military says we can't possibly win, said another. They estimate the alien ships are 100 times more powerful than ours. The Corvani intercepted every message and felt more confident with each one. Humans were clearly terrified and divided. This would be easier than expected. The first attack came 3 days later. 5 Corvani ships approached the mining stations in the asteroid belt. The aliens expected immediate surrender, but the stations opened fire instead. The battle was brief but intense. Human weapons seemed surprisingly effective at first. Energy beams and projectile weapons damaged the alien bioships more than expected. Several Corvani vessels were forced to retreat for repairs. But the aliens learned quickly. They adjusted their tactics and brought more ships. Within hours, the mining stations were destroyed and their defenders killed. The Corvani broadcast the battle across human space to spread fear. You see the fate of those who resist. Thekmore's message said, surrender now and your deaths will be quick. What the Corvani didn't know was that the battle had gone exactly as humans planned. Engineer Insu had designed the mining stations to look more dangerous than they really were. The point wasn't to win, but to make the aliens overconfident and careless. Did you get what you needed? General Kyung-ho asked Dr. Yunji after the battle. Yes, sir. We recorded everything. Their bioship's immune responses, their repair processes, their communication methods. Now I know exactly how to hurt them. The Corvani pressed their advantage, attacking Mars colonies next. This time they brought overwhelming force. 20 ships surrounded the Red Planet and demanded immediate surrender. When the human defenders refused, the aliens attacked with devastating power. Their bioships unleashed living weapons that ate through metal and stone. Colonial defense forces fought bravely but were crushed within days. Thekmore watched the destruction from his command ship and felt satisfied. The humans fight harder than expected, but they're still weak. Their weapons barely scratch our ships. War leader, Vektal reported. We're receiving messages from their main government. They're asking for terms of surrender. Tell them it's too late for surrender. We will cleanse this system completely, but let them keep talking. Their fear amuses me. The surrender messages were fake, of course. Ambassador Yuman was actually coordinating with resistance cells being established throughout the solar system. Every message to the aliens contained hidden codes that helped organize human forces. Captain Wanho received one such coded message while his ship hid in the shadow of Jupiter's largest moon. His vessel looked like an ordinary cargo hauler, but it was actually one of Earth's most advanced warships. All teams report ready, he told his crew. The aliens think they're winning, but the real war hasn't started yet. Dr. Sang-woo, working in another hidden facility, completed his analysis of Corvani battle tactics. They fight like ancient warriors, he reported to military command. Honor, individual glory, direct confrontation. They have rules and codes they follow even in war. What does that mean for us? Asked General Kyung-ho. It means they expect us to fight the same way. They can't imagine an enemy that doesn't follow their warrior code. That's going to be their biggest mistake. As the Corvani fleet moved closer to Earth preparing for the final assault, humans across the solar system received coded orders. Phase 1 was complete. The aliens had been studied, analyzed, and understood. Now it was time for Phase 2. Thekmore stood on his command deck looking at the blue world that would soon be another Corvani conquest. He had no idea that every signal his fleet sent was being recorded and analyzed. He didn't know that human weapons were specifically designed to exploit Corvani weaknesses. Most importantly, He had no understanding of what humans were really like when they stopped pretending to be civilized. The war leader was about to learn the difference between warriors and survivors, and he was going to learn it the hard way. The attack on Luna Base began at dawn, Earth time. Thekmor led the assault personally, bringing 10 of his largest bioships to humanity's lunar stronghold. From space, the base looked like humanity's last major defense outside of Earth itself. "This will break their spirit," he told his officers as their ships descended toward the moon's surface. "Once we destroy their lunar fortress, the humans will have no choice but to surrender." Luna Base was impressive by human standards. Massive domes covered mining operations and manufacturing facilities. Energy shields glowed around important structures. Defensive guns tracked the approaching alien ships. But Engineer Bora knew something the aliens didn't. She had spent 2 years turning Luna Base into the largest bomb ever created. "All civilians evacuated?" she asked her team as alien ships filled the sky above them. "Yes, ma'am. Last transport left 6 hours ago." "Good. Now let's give our visitors a warm welcome." The battle for Luna Base looked hopeless from the start. Human defenders fought bravely, but their weapons seemed useless against Corvani bioships. The aliens landed thousands of warriors on the lunar surface, their natural armor protecting them from human bullets and energy beams. Corvani warriors were truly terrifying in person. Each one stood 3 meters tall with 4 arms ending in razor-sharp claws. Their thick shells could stop most human weapons, and they moved with deadly grace despite their size. The human defenders retreated deeper into the base as alien forces advanced. Bora and her engineering team fell back to the main reactor complex, fighting delaying actions all the way. "Is everything ready?" she asked her second-in-command as explosions shook the walls around them. "All fusion reactors are linked, ma'am. The mining charges are in position. The moment you give the signal, this entire moon will become a star." Bora had learned something important about Corvani psychology during their weeks of communication. They were warriors who valued personal glory and direct combat. They always wanted to be present for their victories, to claim the honor of defeating their enemies face to face. That pride was about to cost them everything. Thekmor himself entered the base's main chamber, followed by his elite guard. He wanted to personally accept the surrender of Luna Base's commander. It would be a great honor to add to his collection of victories. "Human commander," his translated voice boomed through the chamber. "I am Supreme Warcast Thekmor of the Corvani hegemony. Surrender now and your death will be honorable." Bora stepped out from behind cover, her hands raised but her expression defiant. "I am Engineer Bora of the United Earth Defense Force, and I have a message for you. Speak, then die." Bora smiled. "The message is, humans don't fight fair." She pressed the detonator. The explosion was visible from Earth. Luna Base didn't just blow up, it turned into a miniature sun for several seconds. The linked fusion reactors created a chain reaction that consumed the base, the surrounding lunar surface, and everything within 50 kilometers. 3 Corvani capital ships were destroyed instantly. 7 more were crippled by the blast. Thousands of alien warriors, including many of Thekmor's elite troops, were vaporized in the nuclear fire. Thekmor himself barely survived, his bioship's living hull protecting him from the worst of the radiation. But for the first time in his military career, he felt something he had never experienced before: doubt. What kind of enemy destroys their own stronghold just to kill us? He asked his medical staff as they treated his radiation burns. "War leader, perhaps we underestimated these humans." Back on Earth, Admiral Sunwoo received confirmation that Luna Base's sacrifice had succeeded. Now it was time for Phase 3 of the human battle plan. "All ships, this is Fleet Command. Execute Operation Anvil. Show them what we've really been building." Across the solar system, human vessels that had been hiding in asteroids, gas giant storms, and deep space suddenly revealed themselves. These weren't the cargo ships and mining vessels the Corvani had been fighting. These were humanity's true warships, built in secret over 30 years. The UES Retribution emerged from Jupiter's radiation shadow, its stealth coating falling away to reveal advanced weapons and armor. The UES Vengeance uncloaked near Saturn, followed by a dozen smaller attack ships. From the asteroid belt came the UES Nemesis, humanity's most advanced battleship. Admiral Sunwoo commanded the fleet from the UES Prometheus, a ship the Corvani had never seen because it had been built inside a hollowed-out asteroid. Human engineering had learned to hide, adapt, and strike from unexpected directions. Target their command ships first, Sun Wu ordered. We've studied their tactics for weeks. They rely on centralized command and honor-based formations. Take out their leaders and they'll be confused. The Battle of Ceres was unlike anything the Corvani had ever experienced. Human ships didn't fight like warriors. They used ambush tactics, electronic warfare, and coordinated strikes that ignored all concepts of honor or fair combat. Commander Insu led a squadron of fighters in what looked like a suicidal attack against a Corvani dreadnought. The alien ship's defensive systems easily destroyed most of the human fighters, but that was the plan. Each destroyed fighter had actually released a cloud of nanobots before being shot down. The nanobots, designed by Dr. Yunji's team, were specifically programmed to attack Corvani bioship hulls. They spread across the alien vessel like invisible acid, eating through vital systems. Within hours, the mighty dreadnought was dying from the inside out, its living hull consumed by microscopic machines that the Corvani couldn't even see. "What is happening to our ships?" Thekmor demanded as reports came in of vessels mysteriously failing across his fleet. "War leader, the humans are using some kind of invisible weapon. Our bioships are getting sick, but we can't identify the cause." Dr. Yejin's biological weapons were working perfectly. Her team had spent weeks analyzing Corvani physiology from their intercepted communications. The aliens' bioships used complex organic chemistry that was vulnerable to specially designed viruses and nanobots. "Their ships are alive, which makes them vulnerable," she explained to her research team. "We're not just fighting their technology, we're giving their technology cancer." But the humans' most effective weapon wasn't nanobots or hidden fleets. It was information warfare. Communications Officer Hayrin had been intercepting and altering Corvani messages for weeks. When Thekmor tried to request reinforcements from the hegemony, his messages were changed to report complete victory and request no additional forces. When Corvani commanders tried to coordinate their attacks, their orders were subtly modified to send ships to the wrong locations or attack empty space. The aliens' own communication system was turned against them. "War leader," Sub-Commander Vectel reported desperately, "we're receiving contradictory orders from multiple sources. Half our fleet is heading to Earth, but the other half thinks we're supposed to retreat to the outer system." Thekmor's confidence was crumbling. In every previous war, the Corvani had faced enemies who fought like warriors. There were rules, honor codes, and predictable tactics, but humans seemed to have no rules at all. They used trickery, deception, and weapons that attacked from inside their victims. They sacrificed their own bases just to kill enemies. They turned the aliens' own technology against them. "These humans," Thekmor said slowly, "they don't fight like any species we've encountered." "What do you mean, war leader?" "Every other species we've conquered tried to fight us like warriors. They met us in open battle and were defeated honorably. But these humans—" He paused, watching another of his bioships die from mysterious internal damage. "These humans fight like hunters, like predators." The realization was terrifying. The Corvani had spent 1,000 years conquering warrior species who fought with honor and pride. But humans weren't warriors. They were something much more dangerous. They were survivors. And survivors didn't care about honor or fair fighting. They cared about winning. As his fleet continued to suffer mysterious failures and coordinated attacks from invisible enemies, Thekmor began to understand that his species had made a terrible mistake. They hadn't challenged warriors. They had challenged predators, and predators always fought to kill. The war leader sent an encrypted message back to Corvani space, but communications officer Hayrin intercepted it and smiled. The message Thekmor thought he was sending asked for immediate reinforcements. The message that actually went out reported total victory and requested a celebration fleet. The Corvani hegemony would send ships, all right, but they would be carrying party supplies, not weapons. And they would arrive just in time for the final phase of humanity's plan. The Corvani had expected humans to fight like every other species they had conquered. They thought there would be desperate last stands, heroic sacrifices, and honorable defeats. Instead, they found something that chilled them to their alien bones: systematic, patient, terrifying efficiency. Captain Wanho floated in the command center of his stealth ship, watching Corvani vessels patrol the space between Mars and Earth. His ship, the UES Silent Hunter, was invisible to alien sensors thanks to technology that had been developed specifically for this war. Target acquired, reported his weapons officer, Lieutenant Kyung-min. Corvani supply ship, lightly defended. Remember the mission parameters, Wonho said calmly. We're not trying to destroy it. We're trying to infect it. The attack was so subtle that the Corvani didn't even know it had happened. The silent hunter fired what looked like a small piece of space debris at the alien supply ship. When it hit, it seemed to cause only minor damage to the outer hull. But the debris was actually a delivery system for Dr. Yoonji's latest creation, a biological agent specifically designed to target Corvani neural tissue. Within hours, every alien on that supply ship would be paralyzed. Within days, they would be dead. Package delivered, reported Kyung-min. Moving to next target. This same scene was playing out across the solar system. Human stealth ships, invisible and patient, were methodically infecting the Corvani fleet with weapons the aliens couldn't detect until it was too late. Dr. Yejin monitored the results from her laboratory on Earth. Biological. Agent effectiveness is at 97%, she reported to General Kyung-ho. The Corvani immune system has no defense against our modified viruses. How long before they figure out what's happening? They're starting to suspect something, but they think it's a natural disease. Their medical staff is trying to develop treatments, but they're fighting biology that was designed specifically to kill them. Meanwhile, Dr. Hayrin continued her electronic warfare campaign against Corvani communications. She had become so good at imitating their signals that she was essentially controlling their entire fleet coordination. This is fascinating, she told her team as she watched alien ships follow her fake orders. Their communication system is completely centralized. They trust their commanders absolutely and never question orders from higher authority. What does that mean for us? It means I can make them do whatever I want, as long as I can fake the right command codes. And I've been studying their codes for weeks. The psychological effect on the Corvani was devastating. Ship after ship was reporting mysterious illnesses. Entire crews were becoming paralyzed or dying from diseases that their medical staff couldn't identify. Orders from command were becoming increasingly contradictory. Deckmore stood in his command center, watching his mighty fleet slowly collapse around him. In the past week, he had lost 15 ships to various mysterious failures. His warriors were starting to whisper about curses and invisible enemies. War leader, Subcommander Vektal approached nervously. The crew of the Bone Crusher has stopped responding to communications. When we sent a boarding party, they found everyone dead in their stations. No wounds, no signs of battle. They just died. What do our medical officers say? They claim it's some kind of disease, but they've never seen anything like it. It seems to target our nervous system specifically. Deckmore's 4 eyes narrowed. A disease that only affects Corvani? That's not possible unless what, war leader? Unless someone engineered it specifically to kill us. The realization hit him like a physical blow. The humans weren't just fighting with weapons and ships. They were fighting with biology itself, creating diseases designed to murder his people. But the worst part was still coming. Intelligence Officer Mi Young worked from a secret facility buried beneath the Antarctic ice. Her job was to coordinate humanity's most ambitious operation, the infiltration of Corvani space itself. Status. Report on Operation Deep Strike, she requested, from her field teams. All teams in position. Came the reply from Captain Jae-sung, currently leading a stealth mission in the Corvani home system. We've been studying their infrastructure for 3 weeks. Every weakness has been identified and cataloged. Biological agents deployed? Yes, ma'am. Dr. Yoonji's nanobots are already spreading through their atmospheric processors. The Corvani won't notice anything wrong until their air becomes unbreathable. While the main Corvani fleet was trapped fighting in the Sol system, humanity had sent stealth fleets to attack their home territories. These weren't invasion forces. They were extermination teams. The operation had been planned for months. Every Corvani message had been analyzed for information about their society, their technology, and their weaknesses. Human infiltration specialists had spent weeks learning to mimic Corvani biology and behavior. Lieutenant Subin led a team that had actually landed on the Corvani homeworld. Using biological camouflage developed by Earth's best scientists, they looked and smelled like native Corvani to any casual observer. The atmospheric processors are massive, she reported to Mi Young. They control the air for billions of Corvani across the planet. If we introduce our biological agents here, the entire population will be affected within days. Do it, Mi-young ordered without hesitation. Remember, this is not about conquest. This is about extinction. Subin's team planted microscopic organisms throughout the Corvani atmospheric system. These organisms would multiply rapidly, consuming the atmospheric chemistry that Corvani biology required to survive. Within a week, the air itself would become poison to them. Similar operations were taking place across 17 star systems. Human stealth teams had identified every critical piece of Corvani infrastructure: power plants, communication networks, food production facilities, even their military academies. The attacks weren't random destruction. They were surgical strikes designed to cause the complete collapse of Corvani civilization. Dr. Sang-woo, working from a mobile command ship hidden in deep space, coordinated the technological aspect of the assault. His team had spent weeks learning to hack Corvani computer systems. Their technology is biological, but it still follows logical patterns, he explained to his programmers. We can introduce viruses that will make their ships think they're under attack by their own weapons. Is that possible? We're about to find out. Back in the Sol system, Thekmor was receiving increasingly desperate reports from across the Corvani Empire. Communication with their homeworlds was becoming sporadic. Ships were reporting system failures. Several planets had gone completely silent. War leader, Vektal's voice was shaking. We're receiving a message from the home system. It's difficult to understand. The message was from Supreme Leader Korthan himself, the ruler of the entire Corvani hegemony, but his words were strange and frightening. Thekmor, the air burns. Our ships are dying. The humans are everywhere. How did they get here so fast? The sky is turning red. Help us. Then the message cut off, replaced by static. When was that message sent? Thekmor demanded. According to the timestamp 3 days ago, War Leader. But we're just receiving it now. Thekmor's blood went cold. If the message was 3 days old, and their home system was under attack, then the humans had somehow struck at the heart of the Corvani Empire, while their main fleet was trapped fighting in human space. How is this possible? He whispered. How did they move fleets across the galaxy so quickly? What he didn't understand was that humans hadn't moved fleets. They had moved ideas. Biological weapons, computer viruses, and infiltration teams were much smaller and faster than space fleets. While the Corvani had been focused on fighting ships, humans had been attacking their entire civilization. Dr. Mi-young received reports from across Corvani space throughout the day. Every operation was succeeding beyond expectations. Atmospheric poisoning on Corvani Prime is proceeding ahead of schedule, reported Subin. Population centers are beginning to show signs of respiratory distress. Computer viruses have infected the main communication network, reported Sang-woo. The Corvani can no longer coordinate between star systems. Biological agents are spreading through their food production facilities, reported another team leader. Starvation will begin within weeks. General Kyung-ho reviewed the reports with satisfaction. How long until complete collapse? Conservative estimate is 2 weeks for total civilization failure, Mi-young replied. The Corvani Empire is dying from the inside out. In space near Earth, Thekmor made the hardest decision of his military career. His fleet was trapped, his people were dying, and he was facing an enemy unlike anything he had ever imagined. Send a message to the humans, he ordered. We wish to negotiate. The response came from Admiral Sun-woo himself. There will be no negotiation. The Corvani hegemony chose extinction when it threatened humanity. We are simply delivering what you ordered. Thekmor stared at the message for a long time. Then he asked his communications officer a question that would have been unthinkable just weeks earlier. How did we lose this war so quickly? The officer had no answer. Neither did anyone else in the Corvani fleet. They had challenged what they thought was a weak species. Instead, they had awakened something that fought not just to win, but to ensure that the threat could never rise again. The humans weren't just winning the war. They were ending it permanent. The Corvani homeworld was dying. Supreme Leader Korthan stood on his palace balcony, watching the sky turn from blue to sickly yellow. The atmospheric processors that had maintained perfect air for thousands of years were failing. But this wasn't mechanical failure. This was murder by invisible enemies. My lord, his chief medical advisor approached with fear in all 4 eyes. The contamination is spreading faster than we can track. Whatever the humans introduced into our atmosphere is consuming the oxygen we need to breathe. How long do we have? Days, my lord. Perhaps hours in some regions. Corthan had ruled the Corvani hegemony for 2 centuries. He had overseen the conquest of 17 star systems and the extinction of 8 alien species. Never in his worst nightmares had he imagined that his mighty empire could fall so quickly. How did they get here so fast? He asked. Our fleet in the human system should have destroyed them weeks ago. My lord, we haven't received communication from Thekmor's fleet in days. Our long-range communications are failing across all systems. What Corthan didn't know was that his communications weren't failing, they were being controlled. Dr. Hayrin and her team had completely infiltrated the Corvani network. Every message was intercepted, analyzed, and either blocked or altered to increase confusion and despair. On the other side of the galaxy, Captain Wanho received new orders from Earth Command. The message was simple and terrifying. Execute final protocol. Leave no survivors. Wanho had been a soldier for 20 years, but this order still made him pause. The final protocol meant the complete extermination of the Corvani species, not just their military, not just their government, but every last member of their race. Sir, his first officer, Lieutenant Yujin, spoke quietly. Are we really going to kill them all? Even the civilians? Wanho looked at the tactical display showing Corvani worlds across 17 star systems. Billions of aliens lived on those planets, most of them having nothing to do with the decision to attack humanity. The Corvani didn't offer to spare our civilians, he said finally. They called us inferior and planned to exterminate our entire species. Now they get to learn what extinction really means. Lieutenant Yujin nodded slowly. Orders understood. Sir? The final phase of humanity's plan was already in motion. Dr. Subin's biological weapons were spreading through Corvani atmospheric systems faster than the aliens could respond. The organisms reproduced every few hours, consuming the atmospheric chemistry that Corvani lungs required. On 17 worlds, billions of Corvani were slowly suffocating in air that was becoming poison. But biological warfare was only part of the plan. Dr. Sang-Woo's computer viruses had infected every piece of Corvani technology. Their ships couldn't navigate properly. Their weapons fired at random targets. Their communication systems sent false messages. Most importantly, their life support systems were shutting down. Status report on virus deployment. Admiral Sun-Woo requested from his command ship in the Sol system. 98% infection rate across all Corvani technology. Sang-Woo reported. Their bioships are starting to reject their own crews. The living hulls think the Corvani are parasites and are trying to eliminate them. It was a horrible irony. The Corvani had built their entire civilization on living technology that bonded with their biology. Now that same technology was turning against them, programmed by human viruses to see Corvani as foreign invaders. Thekmor watched in horror as his flagship began to attack his own crew. The ship's living walls sprouted thorns and toxic spines. Corridors sealed themselves, trapping Corvani warriors inside. The bioship's immune system was trying to kill everyone aboard. Abandon ship, he ordered, but there was nowhere to go. Every ship in his fleet was experiencing the same nightmare. Their own technology had become their executioner. War leader, Sub-Commander Vektal gasped as poisonous gas leaked from the ship's organic ventilation system. What kind of enemy can turn our own ships against us? Thekmor had no answer. In all his years of warfare, he had never imagined that an enemy could be so thorough, so ruthless, and so terrifyingly creative in their methods of destruction. On Earth, President Lena met with her military commanders for the final briefing. The war was essentially over, but she needed to understand exactly what humanity had done. Complete status report, she requested. General Kyung-ho consulted his reports. Biological warfare has been deployed on all 17 Corvani worlds. Atmospheric contamination is proceeding ahead of schedule. Computer viruses have infected 98% of their technology. Their communication network is under our complete control. Military casualties? On our side? Fewer than 10,000. On their side, he paused. We estimate complete species extinction within 72 hours. President Li Na absorbed this information quietly. Humanity had just committed genocide on a scale never before seen in galactic history, An entire species was being systematically exterminated. Any regrets, Madam President? Asked Dr. Yunji. Lena thought about the Corvani messages threatening to exterminate humanity. She thought about the alien videos showing other species being hunted to extinction. She thought about what would have happened to Earth if humans had been weak. None, she said firmly. They chose this outcome when they threatened our children. Meanwhile, Intelligence Officer Mi Young was coordinating the final cleanup operations. Human stealth teams were systematically destroying any Corvani technology that might survive the biological and computer attacks. Team 7, report status on the Corvani Military Academy, she requested. Building secured, ma'am. All personnel neutralized. Computer systems wiped clean. No survivors. Team 12, status on the research facilities. All biological samples destroyed, ma'am. Their genetic archives have been corrupted beyond recovery. They can't rebuild their species even if any individuals survive. This was the most chilling aspect of humanity's plan. They weren't just killing the current Corvani population. They were ensuring that the species could never recover. Genetic samples, biological archives, even their cultural records were being systematically destroyed. Dr. Tejo monitored communications across Corvani space, listening to the final messages of a dying civilization. The aliens' final transmissions were desperate pleas for help, confusion about what was happening, and growing terror as they realized the scope of their extinction. Please, one message said, we surrender. We will leave your space. We will never threaten humans again. Please stop the killing. But there was no one to receive their surrender. The human response had moved beyond warfare into something much more final. On the Corvani homeworld, Supreme Leader Corthan gathered his surviving advisors in the palace's inner chambers. The air outside was becoming unbreathable and the building's life support systems were failing. How many of our people are left? He asked. Impossible to determine, my lord. Communication with other worlds has been cut, but based on atmospheric contamination rates, we estimate fewer than 1 million survivors across our entire empire. From a population of over 50 billion, fewer than 1 million would survive the next day. Send a message to the humans, Corthan ordered. Tell them we surrender completely. Tell them we will serve them as slaves if they want. Just ask them to spare the survivors. The message was sent, but it never reached human command. Dr. Hayron intercepted it and filed it away with thousands of other desperate pleas. Earth's leadership had made their decision, and there would be no mercy. In the Sol system, the last Corvani ships were finally surrendering. Thekmor's fleet, reduced to fewer than 10 functional vessels, sent surrender signals to Admiral Sunwoo. This is War Leader Thekmor, the alien's translated voice said. We yield. Our fleet surrenders. Please, we ask only for the lives of our remaining crew. Admiral Sunwoo's response was broadcast across all frequencies, ensuring that every human and alien in the system heard it clearly. The Corvani hegemony declared war on humanity, with the intent to exterminate our species. We accept their declaration and return the favor. There will be no surrender, no mercy, and no survivors. The Corvani chose extinction, and we are granting their wish. Lieutenant Mi Kyung, monitoring alien communications, reported the final phase to Earth Command. Sir, we're detecting the last Corvani transmissions from their home system. Atmospheric failure is complete. All life signs are fading. General Kyung-ho nodded grimly. Time until complete extinction? 6 hours, sir. Maybe less. As the Corvani homeworld fell silent forever, the aliens' final transmission was recorded by human listening posts. It was from Supreme Leader Corthan himself, speaking to whoever might be listening in the vast emptiness of space. To any species that might hear this message, his translated voice said weakly, We are the Corvani hegemony. We ruled 17 star systems. We conquered 8 species. We thought we were the strongest force in the galaxy. His voice grew fainter as the atmospheric poisoning reached the palace. We were wrong. We challenged the humans and they showed us what real strength looks like. Do not make our mistake. Do not threaten the humans. They are not warriors. They are something much worse. They are the end of everything that opposes them. The transmission ended with the sound of Corthan's final breath. On Earth, the war room fell silent.